You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our featured presentation.
The following broadcast is brought to you by Marked Out Wrestling Podcast. Marked Out Wrestling Podcast is not affiliated, nor do our opinions reflect those of WWE, NXT, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, or any other professional wrestling promotion. Smart Marked welcome. Fruity Pebbles, be warned. This is NXT. Takedown.
Oh, yeah. It is January 5th, 2017. That means that the holidays are over. The new year has come and gone, and we are back to just same as usual type shit, right?
Normal schedule, same old.
Yay, fun life.
2017, woo!
Yeah, 2017. Let's see how shitty it is. So welcome to NXT Takedown with myself, Roddy Rob. We got Brian, as you can hear, down there at the far end of the table.
I'm sitting far.
You want to do the conference room kind of thing?
I did. Well, I mean, I like looking in front. I don't like looking to the side. I don't like looking behind me either.
Yeah.
Like I said, 2017 is a new year.
A paranoid guy.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm very paranoid too,
okay.
actually. Yeah.
Hello, Juan. Juan is on the board. He says, hello, Rob. Hello, Juan.
What's up, Juan?
All right. He didn't say hello to Brian.
Well, I'm saying hi to him first. So.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you.
Thank you.
Shame on you, Juan. So we're going to cover the NXT from last night, Wednesday, 1/4/17. Brian getting over kind of on the back end of a cold from weeks previous.
Yep.
Me fresh off of a nasty one last night. Fever pitch and sweating it out, and now I'm all, stopped up in the face and everything.
When I showed up here, he was actually wearing about 17 garbage bags like a UFC fighter.
I was, man.
Trying to sweat it all out.
I was sweating that shit out. Tomato soup and hot sauce. That's my secret.
I was drinking sriracha basically last week.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Douse your shit in that.
Yeah.
JVL Shadow says, hi, Brian.
Hey, see?
Hi, Brian.
There we go. Hello.
There you go. So we're going to cover last night's show from NXT Takedown. NXT Australia, rather. We're Takedown, right?
We're Takedown.
Okay. I'd say it's going to be confusing.
It is. It's going to be tough.
We might have to work that out.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But, nothing of simple. Well, you know what? We'll get into it. Let's do this first.
Housekeeping?
Don't think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
You come back in an hour.
Here are your Marked Out Wrestling housekeeping notes. Subscribe to our YouTube page, Marked Out Pro Wrestling Podcast, and listen to our live reaction shows throughout the week. Monday Night Rawsome, following Raw every Monday at 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night SmackDown, following SmackDown Live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. NXT Takedown every Thursday at 2 p.m. Special live shows Sunday nights after every WWE pay-per-view. You can download our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and other podcast providers the day after each WWE event. Follow us on Twitter and chat with us throughout the week at Smart Mark Show. Send your thoughts and opinions via our email, markedoutpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us to get a better look inside our faction on Instagram at Marked Out Wrestling. Call us during a live broadcast or leave a message for a future show on our U Record Studios fan line, 704-444-0084. Like us on Facebook to argue politics and religion at facebook.com/markedout1. That's marked out the number 1. Finally, see what is coming up throughout the week on our website, www.markedOutWrestling.com. Get connected.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your ass!
Can you dig it, sucker, sucker?
All right, so the takedown for today. And after the takedown, we're going to do our spotlight segment. Who we got on spotlight tonight, Brian?
Oh, we are going to do a Mr. Tommaso Ciampa.
Tommaso Ciampa.
You might know him more as one half of DIY.
Yeah, is it Ciampa or Ciampa?
I heard Phillips on the broadcast call him Ciampa.
Well, Phillips is a tool.
Oh, don't say that. I like Phillips.
You
You sound like Corey now.
No, we have a disagreement there. I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of Phillips. He seems like a Michael Cole clone.
I think he does a good job for the product. I mean, that's exactly what he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
Corey's
I
supposed to be
guess
the foil.
I've heard so many rumbles in the background about him.
Ooh.
So I don't know.
Ooh, okay.
All right. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
For the takedown tonight, we got 3 topics. Topic number 1 is going to be someone's time machine is busted, right? Yeah, we're going to work on the housekeeping. I got some ideas for that, Shadow. Don't worry about it. We're going to. Everybody's yelling. Everybody's
What'd
yelling.
they say?
They're just saying it's you need. I like the shorter housekeeping. Yeah. I got some ideas.
The religion and what was it? The religion and politics
on
thing. That
Facebook.
always gives me a chuckle every time I hear it.
Yeah, maybe I'll take this. I got ideas, guys. Calm down.
I have faith in you.
Everybody stop yelling at me about the damn housekeeping. Topic number 1, somebody's time machine is busted. Let's talk about the unusual web of match orientation in the last few weeks with NXT.
I mean, it's obviously due to their travel schedule, but I mean, it definitely took me a little lesson from you.
And I'm going to give that lesson to everybody here in a minute.
Right.
Number 2 is going to be house show gimmicks, and number 3 is going to be what really mattered from last night's NXT. What should you really take from the NXT on the Takedown? That's what we're going to say.
Good question.
So here we go. Let's start with topic number 1. I don't have my one sound.
Number one,
brother. Question number 1, someone's time machine is busted. So let's go back in time here. Let's look at what I was talking about. So we started out with, and I got to look at my whiteboard here if I look like I'm looking away. We start out with a few weeks ago, we had Nakamura and Joe as the main event from Japan, which tailed on the back end of a full cell NXT show.
Correct.
Okay. The following week, we move to then we do a full cell show with the main event of the Australian match, Australian main event with Joe and Nakamura,
right,
tailing on the back end of that. I might be wrong. I think the first one was a one-off with Nakamura and Joe in Japan. Anywho, but they had that one week. Then the next week they showed Takeover with the Australian main event, and then they go back in time. The next week they show the full card from Japan from Osaka, including the Joe and Nakamura match, and then they go yet again back in time to what they've already showed us to the last night, which would be the Melbourne event house show, which ended with Nakamura. And my point is, there is no.
My brain is in a pretzel right now.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe you're highlighting some of the things you've done internationally, and it's cool to see NXT getting some good heat internationally. Absolutely, but you got to have some continuity to it, right?
I mean, the problem though is that obviously in the card we were saying it before that they there's some there were some wrestlers on there that wouldn't necessarily have been on the card if the show were at Full Sail.
Sure, and I that's fine. Look, I got no problem with airing these events from overseas. I got no problem with it. I mean, to me, Full Sail in Osaka, me being in Charlotte, North Carolina, is kind of it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. They're still away from me. I'm still watching it on TV. So, consequence of where they're at is not really a big deal. My problem is that maybe someone overthought this, and maybe you could have saved rather than showing the first Joe and Nakamura match, and then main eventing Joe and Nakamura for a Full Sail match with the video from Australia. Maybe you could have saved those two to show them with the actual events from Japan and Osaka.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. I mean, if they had intentions of showing these events anyway, I mean, why not just show it in its entirety?
Right.
Or I mean, I guess maybe the Osaka show kind of threw things off. I mean, they did have, there was the belt change.
Right.
I mean, they changed hands, so I don't know if and plus they tape what 4 weeks worth of
well, they do that at Full Sail.
Right.
Which I'm curious if they actually did it this time, or if they maybe only did 2 or 3 because they knew they were going to do these 2 shows from overseas.
Well, I mean, it seemed like they did it. Obviously, I think they did it on purpose because Joe and Shinsuke, they were off of that show. I believe, what was it, 2 weeks? Or there was one Full Sail show where they weren't even on it at all.
At all, right. Yeah, because they did the number 1 contender match with Bobby Roode and all those guys,
right?
Which actually had some consequence to moving forward to San Antonio. I don't know. Just to me, I like Joe Nakamura rivalry, but to throw 4 of their matches, 2 being repeated each, at me in the last 4 weeks, it's a bit much.
Yeah,
I have the network. If I really want to see it again, I'll go back and look at it again. I mean, they were both great matches, one better than the other in my opinion. Well, I don't want to say that because they were both different.
They were very different.
They were very different matches. JVL Shadow saying WWE needs a new show that has house shows. We don't need to waste NXT and other shows with house show matches. Raw, SmackDown, 205, and NXT should continue stories. Sure, I'm okay with that.
So he wants them to show house shows?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not okay with that. House shows. If you've been to a house show, and I don't know, JVL, maybe he has.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have.
Yeah.
And I have. And the uniqueness of a house show of it not being something broadcast is you get to see an entirely new side to a lot of these wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, guys have way more freedom to do almost whatever the hell they want,
and more fun.
Yeah,
we saw the video leak on YouTube of Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, where they were mimicking Ric Flair and The Rock and doing all these kind of goofy things in the ring. And I've been to shows where I've seen Ty Dillinger and what's his name, the Demon,
Finn
Balor, where they did they were tagging with somebody else, and the whole thing was nothing but a Ric Flair tribute. You're not going to see that on a televised. They're going to be much more held to do what the production wants them to do.
Yeah, they have way more, I don't want to say that they're handcuffed, but they definitely have a lot more restrictions when it comes to the live shows versus, Raw and SmackDown versus their live house shows.
I mean, I love watching Raw and SmackDown and NXT on the, as a broadcast. I like going to the shows as well, but if you ask me, by far my favorite things to attend live would be house shows.
I agree.
The Freedom Nerds. I wouldn't, don't spoil that for me. So anyway, Time Machine's busted, man. I'm hoping next week NXT gets back on track. I'm thinking that's all they can do is get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, my main thing is just if you're going to show these events, just show them. Don't just give us the main event and then show the whole thing on repeat.
Right. I mean, I enjoyed both of the events. Yeah. All right. So here you go. Topic number 2 for the Takedown. House show gimmicks. So this is a lot of the matches, right? I want to try to cover a lot of individual matches on this show rather than just an overall bullet point like we do on the other shows. But if I look through here, house show gimmicks means a lot of these had really no bearing on the forward progress of the storylines for NXT. And I got to start with I got to start with Revival and what's it, Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one to me, and I don't mean to be mean here. I don't mean to, because obviously it's developmental. This is where you're learning how to be a wrestler, how to be an entertainer. But to me, this is something that shouldn't have been aired.
Yeah, it was very curious as to, I was surprised to see those two guys out there.
Yeah, I don't think it did anything to benefit. I think if anything, it hurt the Revival, because what I saw there was I saw timing botches. I saw lots of miscues. I mean, and Moss and Sabatelli, they're strong guys. They're big, strong guys. But frankly, the personality's not there with them yet.
Well, plus, I mean, outside of the wrestling, I mean, Revival are supposed to be, they're one or two of the, top tag teams in NXT. So for to have them a very competitive match like they did, and I actually kind of liked the match. I was when I first saw those guys come out, I didn't really know what to expect, but I thought it was actually a pretty good match. Like you said, there were some hiccups, but
I thought there were some significant hiccups.
Yeah,
and it was clear that Revival was carrying them. Of course, Revival being the much more seasoned, where the other guys are very, very green.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So normally we'd see a squash match, but this was a very competitive match. So it kind of took away from the Revival's, their kind of luster as being the top team, for them to kind of have almost struggle to beat these two guys that really haven't been on TV yet.
Why? Well, did they struggle because these guys were not keeping up with them, I think is the problem, right? Did it make them look bad because they had to really not just carry but drag these guys to certain maneuvers? I mean, there was that one move where they throw him against the rope for a double team.
Yeah, the do-si-do, right.
Yeah, and he stopped for his cue, stopped there on his own, where he should have been stopped by somebody else. But he had to stop on his own 2, 3, 4 move engages.
Yeah.
Right. There was another one too where they did another double move, and everybody missed their cue. Everybody missed.
I don't know if it's. Are you talking about the one where both guys were in the corner and they whipped him into the middle and they kind of locked arms and spun around?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to say it was Moss. One of those guys was supposed to throw a line and it didn't look like he did, so it just kind of left Wilder just kind of high and dry, and he kind of looked around, and he just kind of he just kind of powdered out, right?
So good for him for trying to fix the botch, but
right.
Definitely some botchamania moments in that match that I just didn't think were great for the Revival, and I don't think talking too long about that match is great for us. So moving on, Elias Sampson, Bobby Roode, Murphy, and Ty Dillinger was in effect, and I think DIY and Team 61 were kind of the same way here. In effect, these were the matches that, you know what, let's give it to the Aussies. Let's give them some home love.
Yep.
and there's real no consequence moving forward on this. Ty Dillinger, that match, the Rude Dillinger Murphy Sampson match, to me was a fan engagement match.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the fans were going to have fun.
They did a little bit in that match with Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger in the beginning when when they first got in the ring and everyone, we were thinking that they were going to lock horns, and then Roode just kind of cowardly tagged out.
Sure.
So I like that they kind of, they teased that rivalry. Let me try that. Jesus. A little bit. But yeah, like you said, I mean, everything else, I mean, it was just kind of it was a good match.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good match. And even in moments like that, it's still, that you're going to do little things like that and the crowd's going to, get all in your ass about it. And they were really torn on Rude and Dillinger as far as who they were really rooting for, which it's fun to watch those moments.
Well, I mean, Dillinger and those 10 chants, I mean, those were all over. I mean, dude. I think they were even doing it as far as into I think the DIY TM61 match.
Yeah. Look, Bobby Roode was over the minute he stepped in.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Roode's been over for a long time. TNA, Beer Money, all that stuff. Dillinger, to me, he's a better over as fuck, because he is over as fuck. Everywhere he's over. And to me, it's better because we've watched him struggle and fight and claw and everything to get to where he is over, where at first he wasn't received that well.
Mm-hmm.
He had to build this character, this 10 gimmick, and it's fucking like a rocket ship, man. It's off. And I don't know. I was not a Dillinger fan, say, a year ago.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe a year and a half ago. I wasn't. I mean, I knew who he was.
Well, I mean, I guess I can, I can relate.
He was a guy that I figured was, he's the guy who's going to come in, going to lose some matches and get the crowd. He's a gimmick. He's a Fandango kind of thing. And then as you watch him, you go, no, I really fucking like this guy. I think he struggles a little bit to be the angry, aggressive character.
He's getting his edge.
He
definitely is, and especially with the feud that he has kind of going on
with Bobby Roode.
With Bobby Roode, I mean, it's definitely Roode is bringing the best out of him.
I agree. So anyway, moving on to our next one here. So we'll get to the DIY in a minute. No, I'll get there in a minute.
Who's saying that?
I know. I'm just all over the fucking place tonight. So let's go on topic 3 then. Let's do that.
Topic
3.
We can do topic 3.
Yeah, let's do that. Topic 3. What really mattered here? To me, what really mattered, obviously, the Joe Nakamura match. We don't really need to cover that because we've done that before.
We've seen it 4 times.
Yeah, it was a great match. It was like I like the fact that they battled in kind of it was an aggressive, hate you, want to battle match. Told a good story in the cage. It wasn't as detailed as the match in Osaka was, or the one previous to that. It was shorter.
Yeah, I want to say it was maybe about 16 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't, in the consequence of it, it wasn't a very long match. I guess just versus the other ones. I mean,
sure.
Still a brutal match.
Oh my God! Every time those guys are going to go in there, I mean, you know you're going to get. I think Joe left with I think his head was a little bit bloody.
It was.
We had a little knot kind of up there.
Right. But so the other one that really mattered to me. So the first one, Liv Morgan, Billie Kay, and Ember Moon. Now there was an element of Australia, Billie Kay, throw her out there, let her wrestle to the hometown. But to me, this one actually had consequence moving forward in that division. Let me say this first off. Ember Moon's eclipse to win it was the best one I've seen her do to date.
Billie Kay sold it phenomenally.
She did.
And can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where was Peyton Royce?
Catching koalas?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking that when
why not have both of them out there?
I mean, they've been almost inseparable since they've been pushing Billie Kay. Really.
Was Peyton Royce in Osaka? I can't remember.
I think so. I think she was.
Okay.
I don't know. Either way, I mean, I thought it was a really good match. It's good to have Liv Morgan in there. I know she's one of the newer up-and-coming women wrestlers in NXT. So to have her in a 3-way with two of with Ember Moon and Billie Kay, you can kind of, I don't want to say hide her ability, because she's very capable. But it's good to have him in there just so that you can kind of throw her in the mix of upper echelon women wrestlers in NXT.
To me, Liv Morgan is more of a boyish version of what's her name from
Carmella.
Carmella.
Yeah.
A little bit more. I am just not good with words. So my brain is still sick.
You're asking me about words?
I know you. But she's more of a tomboy version of Carmella, and I don't know if she's over with me yet. I know she's over with some of the crowd and some people I've talked to. I don't know if she's necessarily over with me yet. I don't know. There's something about her that just seems kind of like yay, you're fun and bubbly, and you like to scrap a little bit in the ring, but you're just the best part about her for me is Corey Graves bashing on New Jersey.
Yes.
Like, I drove through New Jersey.
Very good point.
And when I got out, I burned my clothes. That perfect fucking line. Perfect line there. Okay, so the other match, Ember Moon moving forward, I think she's going to be the big Asuka.
Yeah, I was going to say once Asuka. I don't know if you think she's going to challenge Asuka.
I think she has to, right?
I guess so. Who else really?
Has she lost yet, Ember Moon?
I don't believe so.
Can't think of one.
If she did, it would be in a tag match, but I don't even think that happened.
Yeah. So anyway, I think Billie Kay is not going to get hurt from this, even though she took the pin. Liv Morgan's not going to get hurt for this because she's still on the rise up. Ember Moon benefits from this because they need a legitimate contender for Asuka.
Oh, absolutely. And it was interesting seeing Billie Kay kind of get those. She was kind of getting a little bit of face chance too while she was out there.
And you know what? She was fucking fat. And I'm not a huge Billie Kay fan, but she was fabulous in the fact that she took those face chants and then she flipped it on them.
Yep. I think actually watching this, she's definitely been growing on me since she's been more on TV lately. And after this match, I want to say, I definitely want to see what she has in store for us next week.
But I agree with what JVL said. JVL Shadow said last week, I think it was. He said that, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they still remind me of the kind of the cheapo Batman villains. The Jeeper version.
Okay.
The Poison Ivy, but not really. Kind of the Ivy Poison you might buy at Kmart.
They kind of remind me of Lay Cool a little bit, if you remember them.
I do remember Lay Cool.
Layla and what's her face? Undertaker, Mrs. Undertaker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Mrs. Undertaker. Way to show your vast amount of knowledge. All right. Berto's on the board. How you doing, Berto? Good to have you
What's
here.
up, Berto?
And then we had a hashtag DIY versus TM61. And for me, this match is exactly what I thought it would be. Aggressive, lots of striking, lots of reversals, grappling occasionally, but not too much. Just lots of striking.
Dives. We had some dives.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that like I think it's a bad thing. It's a fabulous match for these two tag teams, and it does kind of show what could be to come.
And another thing that was kind of weird, just because they were wrestling in Australia. Obviously, DIY, they were getting those face chants, but they weren't the overbearing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, who do we got here?
We got a phone call.
Let's hear it.
Hey, you're on with Marked Out. Who's this?
What up?
Who is this?
Wait, is this Jack?
Is this Jonathan Duran?
Huh?
Is this Paige?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, bud. What's going on, dude?
Hey, I just noticed something.
What's that?
I don't give a shit about NXT. I don't watch it, but my little cousin was watching NXT. Samoa Joe is really fat. Like he's just really fat. Like for some reason,
it's part of his charm.
Why. Yeah, he's cuddly, man. That's what he is. He's big and cuddly.
Yeah, they should call him the Samoan sweat machine because he sweats like a fucking gorilla.
He sweats a lot, but I tell you what, he can move better than I can.
He really can. He's been that size. Almost since he's been wrestling.
All right.
Yeah, man. You remember when Scott Steiner? I think Scott Steiner called him a fat piece of shit or something like that along those lines.
Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner's got a lot of names he could be called himself, but yeah, Scott Steiner. With the hole
good
in his
old
chest.
Scotty.
Yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Is Paige back yet?
What's that?
Is Paige back yet? Has she returned?
No, she came in for a wellness policy. The rumor on Paige is that she doesn't want to come back, and they're probably not. I would be very surprised to see her back now. Maybe in 7 years from now she might come back, but right now she's on a downward. She's on a downward spiral in life, man.
After her and Alberto Del Rio get married and divorced, maybe she'll be back.
Yeah. Well, Paige, if you're listening to this, you know where to go.
Okay. All right, JD. Thank you, bud.
All right, take care.
All right.
Later, man.
You're bringing the show down a step. Upload test on there. What's up?
What up?
Yeah, Noah's in school. His vacation's over now, guys. So, yeah, the DIY TM61. It was a good match.
Very good match.
And we'll see where it goes. I have a feeling Authors of Pain they're on the fast track to the main roster. So that leaves TM61 as the big rivals. I think Revival is on the fast track too. I would not be surprised to see Revival show up either at Rumble or the Monday or Tuesday directly after.
Is it a bad thing that I'm more excited about NXT's tag division than I am either of Raw or SmackDown.
I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's telling. Here's something I want to throw out there to you. I thought about this today, and I'll probably forget it before one of our main roster shows.
Mm-hmm.
But Vince McMahon. Okay, so Vince McMahon gets a lot of heat for what he does. The people say he's out of touch, and yada yada yada, and I completely agree with that. But I think overall you have to look at Vince McMahon as somebody who has made wrestling what it is today. You call it brave, you call it ambitious, you call it whatever you want to call it. And he took territory wrestling, backyard gyms, armory wrestling, and turned it into in your living room product. Right? He did that. Vince McMahon did that. All credit in the world to Vince. And maybe he has lost touch. But I would say to Vince McMahon, if you're listening out there, and I say this sincerely, that NXT right now is a phenomenal product. They're doing really good things, and I believe it could be the future of wrestling, and I'm excited about that. I think if Vince McMahon does this until he dies, like if he is back there calling the shots until the day he dies, that will tarnish the reputation that Vince has, the reputation that he should have for this industry as a whole. Because he will go out being the guy that everybody's going, fucking, you're just stubborn to the bitter end, and that's all anybody's going to talk about. Oh, now that Vince is dead, what's going to change is what's going to be the headline. Now that Vince is dead, what's going to change? I would rather, Vince, you retire and spend the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of your life, whatever it may be, enjoying the time with your family and your grandchildren, and letting your children or somebody else take the reins on the main roster like Hunter has NXT. And that way, when you do pass, and it will be unfortunate, I don't want anybody to die, but when you do pass, then the focus of the conversation on you, Vince, will be he changed wrestling for the better. He elevated this entertainment product to the level that it's at. If he dies while in office, his legacy will be tarnished.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I mean, that's a very real situation. I mean, could you imagine being any of his family members and thinking, when is this guy gonna hang it up?
Yeah,
and I mean, I would not even be able to comprehend the idea of trying to have an intervention with him and saying, Vince, buddy,
yeah,
you got to give it up.
You got.
I mean, how you wouldn't be able to how. You couldn't be able to go up to him and bring that idea to him. So I don't know. I mean, I really do think, like you said, I think he's going to be there until
the day
until that's it.
And and then the next day it's going to be what now for WWE rather than let's reflect on Vince's life.
Or I mean, we could maybe see he could get so crazy that just his ideas are just so batshit that maybe they work.
Yeah. Let's see. Upload Test got a couple things here. Vince will pre-record commands for Triple H and Stephanie to follow once he's dead. Yeah. NXT tag division is awesome. I think it's about to be in for a new renaissance based on the teams like DIY Revival. They'll be coming out of NXT. And Berto, if Vince steps down, he can help whoever takes over with anything they can handle as opposed to dying and leaving unanswered problems with the new regime. My point exactly.
Yep.
JVL Shadow, his legacy will be as a power-hungry racist. Yes, he revolutionized wrestling, but he did it by being a power-hungry racist. Vince, not Trump, just to be clear. No, JV, I agree with you. And it can be said for anybody who has died and you remember, is you can pull all the bad things. And, yes, there are a lot of bad things about Vince. There is the fact that, there's lots of rumors that he was an extremely bigoted, racist person. He always wanted to keep the women in bras and panties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can do all these things. But I'm saying, as far as how you would, when people usually die, you remember the better stuff about them, and then later you can reflect on the bad.
Katie Vick.
There you go. So I'm just saying. Anyway, that's enough Vince talk right now. Let's move on to our. What are we doing next? We're doing our.
What are we doing?
What's it called? The spotlight segment.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right, so let's do a spotlight. So, Brian, take it away, your spotlight here, bud.
All right, so I just wanted to kind of showcase a little bit of one half of hashtag DIY.
Hashtag.
We have Mr. Tommaso Ciampa. He was born in May 8th, 1985, so he's at the ripe age of 31 in Boston, Massachusetts. And he was trained by Killer Kowalski, Mike Hollow, Harley Race, and Al Snow. But I want to say he did most of his early training at Killer Kowalski.
Al Snow does a lot of he does a lot of background stuff, a lot of training and stuff. I hear his name thrown out a lot.
Yes, yeah. I mean, besides all this, I mean, we saw it firsthand, obviously, with Tough Enough and how well he was received with all those guys. So I could see he definitely has that trainer mentality. And
I don't want to take you off the subject.
No, not at all.
Looking at his career with Job Squad and whatnot, he gets more praise now than he ever did, in my opinion. Am I right or wrong there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So let's go back. Like I said, he was trained in 2005 by Killer Kowalski. He wrestled a lot for Chaotic Wrestling and Top Rope Promotions. In 2005, Rob.
Yeah.
One of his first gimmicks, and I shit you not, he used to wrestle as Thomas Penmanship, and he would come out with a big feather quill.
Yeah.
And that was kind of his, and he was a heel too.
So kind of a Hunter Hearst Helmsley type thing?
A little bit. And it's funny that you say that because Hunter, he's another Kowalski guy.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston's another Kowalski guy. So obviously
I didn't know that.
There's a good pedigree with that school.
No pun.
Yeah. Tommy Penmanship in 2005. That's right. So I mean, he's been around since then. He was signed. I don't know if you guys remember. Maybe we'll try to pull up the clip because it's one of his more famous things. He was on an episode of SmackDown in 2005, and he was Muhammad Hassan's lawyer. So he was involved. He was almost he was an indie guy.
Yeah.
They brought him in to be part of this enormous storyline. So he's shitting his pants. It's just a crazy story. That's its entire podcast in itself.
I mean, you were talking earlier about the fact that he's one of those guys that he never really wanted to be indie. His goal has always been WWE.
Yeah, he's gone on record saying, I mean, even if you look at the school where he trained at, obviously Killer Kowalski has those guys, so he has a good track record of training people, so he went there. He did. In 2007, he was signed to Ohio Valley Wrestling. At the time, that was their
startup program.
Developmental.
Yeah.
He had some injuries, and nothing really came of it. He was let go. So he went back to the Indies. He wrestled in the 2011 ECWA Super 8 tournament. That's a very prestigious indie tournament.
Okay.
They have a lot of history with
things. Yeah.
With things. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So he was at PWG for a while.
After this, right?
Yeah, and PWG obviously is one of your higher your more visible indie promotions. People really want to go
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor,
it's right. It's right there.
in there.
CZW, right?
You termed you being the local indie geek here.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching one of the matches with him, and there was a chant they gave him. The
Yes.
crowd. What was that chant?
That was "You sick fuck."
And okay, now tell me how that came about.
So the reason why, I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, but you should check it out. Any of his PWG matches, one of the things that he used to do, he would stick his thumb directly up the ass of whatever wrestler, whoever it was. He would do that, and then he would suck on it. So I don't know. To me, that kind of warrants a "You sick fuck" chant.
It warrants it. I wish I could be a fly on the wall when he decided how to do this.
I don't know, man.
I want to know why he did it. That's what I want to know.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been in TNA, Ring of Honor, and like you said, PWG. I'd recommend any of his PWG matches, and even his Ring of Honor work. I mean, the guy's great.
Okay. So he was in TNA.
He had, not
briefly.
Yeah, I mean, he's wrestled matches for them, but not anything.
Am I wrong here? Or did he do New Japan at all?
That's a very good question.
Is that a whale dying? What was that? He just feels like I don't know I'm just assuming here. He feels like the kind of guy who would thrive in Japan, and I don't know if he'd ever been or not. If anybody on the board
I don't think so. No, I think no, because like we said, he wasn't really one of those guys that wanted to. I mean, maybe he's gone to Japan. I don't think he's wrestled for New Japan.
Yeah.
But maybe he did for Ring of Honor at some point, because I know they've gone over there.
Okay. All right. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else on the man?
No, I mean, I would just say check out any of his PWG matches. He's been in a lot of great 8-man or a lot of big tag team matches. So, and he's always he's one of the bigger spotlighted guys in the matches. So check it out.
All right.
And yeah, Rob, that's that.
That's that.
That's that, Rob.
That's how you should always close that.
And that's that.
Ooh, I like that, Brian.
Maybe.
And that's that.
Let me drink my coffee.
You drink your coffee. Think about it. All right, guys. So there we go. There is the basic show for the we did our takedown. We did our spotlight. We'll do our final thoughts here in just a second between me and Brian. I do want to remind you that Monday nights after Monday Night WWE Raw, we do have our Rawsome show, the A show if you want to call it that, with myself, Steve Awesome, possibly Adam Bomb, Brian, the whole crew. Tuesday nights after SmackDown, we have Smarkdown. All these live streaming on YouTube. This will be our first show, by the way, NXT Takedown, our first show that will actually go on the podcast as well. So if you're a new podcast listener to this show, we invite you to continue to listen and build our numbers. Just FYI, next week we may possibly start maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock, a little bit later. Let some other people kind of maybe jump in here and listen to the show.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on the evening, Brian. You got anything on the show in particular?
On this show in particular, I mean, I think we covered it all. There's really no implications as far as storyline-wise going forward. I mean, they even said it themselves that this is going to be the last Samoa Joe Nakamura matchup that we're going to see.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I thought like it was a very good card. But it was standalone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see what they have in store for us next week.
My final thought is going to go with: is this? Are we seeing history repeated here? Because you notice Kevin Owens, before he went officially full time to the main roster, we saw him lose the belt in Japan to Finn Balor. So are we seeing a repeat of that? Is this going to be some notable names on here? Is Revival and Joe? Are we going to see those guys now disappear from the scene when it comes to NXT? I think they teased the Revival DIY championship match for next week. So I'm wondering if they lose that one, and that's kind of wash your hands, let those guys go kind of thing. So my final thought is I'm curious to see when the next influx of NXT talent is going to be. It has to be at Royal Rumble, in my opinion.
That's the logical time to bring new faces in. So yeah, can I just say one more thing actually?
And then I have a question for you. Be sure.
Oh, I'd love your question. Yeah, go on.
JVL Shadow actually asking, where did Psycho Killer come from?
That I do not know. If he knows, I'd love to hear it.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ciampa, if you're listening to this, and you're probably not, but if you're listening to this, we have some questions that we would like to have answered, and if you'd be willing, please contact us and answer the questions for us.
Yes,
we have fans out there that are like, hey, Psycho Killer,
what
brought about you sick fuck?
Yeah.
How was Indies and everything? Yeah, come this calls. Okay, go ahead. What did you have to say?
I just wanted to say Wrestle Kingdom 11 happened 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah?
In Japan.
Okay.
And I just wanted to throw that out there. Kenny Omega and Okada had, I think it was like a 40-minute match. Wow. I just wanted to throw it out there. I just wanted, it's out there. If you search for it, you can watch the match. But definitely check out New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 11. That's basically their WrestleMania. And, I mean, the card top to bottom was just insane.
Really?
So yeah, I know we're an NXT show, indie show, so check out Wrestle Kingdom 11 for sure.
All right, and stay tuned as we've talked about. We teased on the other show. We are going to be starting a kind of a pilot show, probably a short 20-30 minute show strictly for the indies, and we'll talk local indies as well as other indies, PWG and stuff like that. Try to get some interviews out on with some people in the indie market. So that's something we're working on bringing to you as well. Just got to figure out where to put it in the schedule. So, as we normally do, sign off about this time. Brian, myself, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll be back here next week, maybe at a different Smart time, but the same Smart channel.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Marked Out Podcast is recorded, edited, distributed, and marketed at U-Record Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. For more information on optimizing your podcast for increased listenership, check out U-Record on Facebook, Twitter, and email sales@urecordstudios.com or visit the website www.urecordstudios.com.
Yes! 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 Yes!
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.